Hey guys, so I had some time today and I thought I would just, instead of typing up a recap of what I saw while I was looking at charts, I would just make a quick video on it. So initially I came in around 8:30ish, so kind of when the market was doing this. And initially what I did when I first looked is, I looked at the overnight lows and kind of what was happening first throughout the day. And so mainly what I saw was pretty much we had made a high over here overnight and came down here and made a low, and then we had bounced off of it here. So initially I'm thinking, okay, this is not going to be a trend day. This is going to be kind of a sideways action day. And so I'm going to be looking for kind of more choppy action and not really directional based trading all the time. I'm going to be looking for prices to potentially be failing up here and potentially looking to bounce off the lows here and, kind of ping pong between these two levels in some regards. So I think initially when you first see stuff like that, that's a really big thing to have your mindset right for kind of how aggressive you want to trade in a day like this. Just because if you don't have that initial idea of what the market's going to possibly be doing throughout the day, it's going to cause you some issues. And so first thing I saw is the market had, just topped here and then it started bouncing. And so I had drawn a channel here. We kind of had a support line here. And so this first trade right here, I'll just remove this channel for now, was bounce off the highs and then a pretty solid two-legged pullback with a nice signal bar here and then off of this trend line. And so I thought that was a good enough spot for a scalp. I just went for 2 points. These lines right here are 2 points. So I was kind of looking for 2-point scalp today. And I'm actually also trading. I'm just trying out what the MES actually feels like. And it looks like the MES is really nice on a 1,000 tick chart. I wouldn't use a 2,000 tick chart just because the volume is lower. And so you need to change it to 1,000 ticks to deal with that decrease in volume so the chart moves a bit quicker. And so 1,000 ticks, I kind of compared two charts side by side, and 1,000 tick on the MES seemed very, very similar to 2,000 tick on the ES. And so this is the first trade I took. It scalped and then it looked like it broke this support line. And so from there, I was kind of just sitting and waiting to see, okay, what's this going to do now? Because it looks like, assuming that it's probably going to fail off of this high and we might start to shoot down to the bottom. And then from there, we just broke out of this channel here and then started trending down. And I did walk away from my computer for some of this because I didn't think there'd be a trade in here just because it's so far from the EMA. And so that's not, that's a trade I don't want to take. And then down here, what we have right here is this is a two-legged pullback because it reset right here off of the highs. And then this is a really nice bullish bar and it's really far away from the EMA. I mean, because these are 2 points, this is basically 5 points away from the EMA. So I thought it was pretty dang likely we were going to have at least enough room here to get a scalp. It is counter trend. And so I, again, wouldn't suggest taking this all the time because it is a very aggressive setup. You can see you can't just take a bullish bar like this and get a scalp when it's far away from the EMA. Because if you look at this guy right here, this is a great bullish bar and you would have lost a trade right there. So definitely careful on those kind of setups. And one thing as well is it was really close to the lows here. This bottom right here, I actually kind of drew a line off of this guy and I think it did match up. If we just, I'll just copy this horizontal line. So here, this low kind of matched up with this low. And so I was like, okay, that's another signal that we might bounce here and get a scalp. And so that was, I thought, was a pretty high probability spot. And then bouncing off of there, we had a two-legged pullback here. And then it kind of looked like it was going to trap people. And I'm thinking, okay, we're at the lows. We might bounce to go back up. And so I thought this was a great spot for a scalp. Got 2 points. And then the market actually did decide to keep going down. And from here, another thing that helped with this trade right here was this little support line. So every time the market changes directions, I like drawing a support line for something like this where it's pretty minimal, or once you start to see a swing back and forth, that's when you can start putting in a channel. And so here for this trade, drew a channel here, and then I didn't really like this. This is a two-legged pullback here that's pretty good. It was an inside bar and I wasn't feeling great about it. And so I ended up waiting for this lower high, and then there's a nice scalp there. And there is technically a two-legged pullback here as well to the long side that ends up failing. But this was a little too far away from the EMA and close to this kind of low here. And so I skipped out on that, but I was perfectly happy with taking this trade right here. And that worked out great. And then the bottom of this just falls out and we actually test those lows here. And so you don't know that it's going to bounce up here and go all the way back up. So you're not going to just buy blindly, right? You're going to still wait for a setup, but you're going to have that idea that, okay, we could be bouncing here and going back higher. So here was a two-legged pullback. It was a outside bar that was a little aggressive, and just off of bouncing off the lows, I'm not going to want to take that. I'm going to assume that things might fail and go to the upside. And there was kind of a really big trap right here, but there wasn't really a great setup for that. And then from here, you can see the market does start to kind of break up from there. And initially to draw this channel right here, I saw it off the high. So you can see here, after about here, you can see, okay, there's probably some kind of channel here. Obviously, there's not enough data on the bottom to draw it off of. And so I just drew it off the top. And so I just went from here, drew it like this, and then matched it to what would probably be down here, assuming that maybe it's bouncing off the midline. And it looks like it was. And then so I just drew that further. Let me just redraw that again. And so that kind of helped me out with this trade here. And so I'm not going to take any of these. So this is technically a two-legged pullback to the short side, which did fail here. And you could get a scalp there, but right, you're against the top of the channel. You're far away from the EMA. That's just not a good setup I want to take. And so here I'm going to probably wait for a two-legged pullback or something at the bottom of the channel or closer to the EMA, right? And so here that exactly happens. You have a two-legged pullback. This is a nice signal bar right here, and it tests the bottom of this channel here, and it's right at the EMA. So I went for a scalp right there that worked perfectly. And here, actually, I started closing up after that because I was like, I'll just be done for the day. And here was actually a higher low. This wasn't a great signal bar, but that you could have taken a trade right there as well. And then you can see from there, it did take off. And now it looks like it broke the channel here. It might retest. And then so I'm not sure where it could go for the rest of the day. It could start to just chop here. It looks like we are potentially butting into this resistance right here. And so maybe we'll just chop at the lower of this channel. Maybe this is some midpoint here from this channel, but we might go up to the top too. And so that's all I got for the day. Hope this was helpful, and have a good rest of your day.